Welcome to Asian American Life. I'm your host, Ernabel Demillo. In today's episode, we take a look at Asian Americans advancing social justice, from the civil rights case of Vincent Chin to the current fight protecting women's rights in the Trump era. Plus, we'll have the latest health update on Asian Americans and breast cancer. If you want more information on all our stories, you could follow us on Facebook at Asian American Life. Now, here's a look at what's ahead. Breast cancer. Is it increasing among Asian American women? We'll have the latest report. Rising up, Asian American women fighting for their rights. Seeking justice, Kyung Yoon looks at the Vincent Chin murder case. And sweet dreams, Minnie Rose stirs up exotic chocolates. This and more on Asian American Life. A recent study finds that the breast cancer rate among Asian American women is on the rise. So what's behind the increase? We take a closer look. When Elizabeth Ouyang was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2009, she felt alone and isolated.
It was really hard. I'm a civil rights attorney, and I'm a very outspoken civil rights attorney. But when it comes to myself, I just couldn't talk about it other than with my family. And it was really hard. Sometimes really strong women on the outside don't realize they really need support, and I really needed it.
But she needed support and found it from many women, all Caucasian women. Ouyang wondered where all the Asian American women with breast cancer were. Were they like her, afraid to talk about it? So she started a blog, Plum Blossoms, a place where AAPI women could freely share their stories.
American women living with breast cancer. I started it because having been a breast cancer survivor and realizing how difficult it was to talk about it, even as a first-generation Asian American, I wanted a space, a safe space for women to be able to talk about their experiences, and most importantly, to let other Asian women with breast cancer know that they're not alone, that they would find strength and hope from listening to other women's stories.
The blog, she soon realized, was also bringing about awareness in the community at a time when breast cancer rates among AAPI women are reportedly on the rise. The Cancer Prevention Institute of California studied 7 Asian American groups between 1988 and 2013 and found increases of breast cancer rates in Asian women. This while the disease is stabilizing among other ethnic groups. South Asian and Southeast Asian women saw the most dramatic increases, and women of Filipino and South Asian descent tend to be diagnosed with more advanced stages of breast cancer.
I think the study points out very important findings in that the Asian group is not one homogeneous group of people, and that there are 24 sub-ethnic groups, each with very distinct languages, customs, foods, and as well as their health and their risk to breast cancer.
Dr. Joyce Chen is a breast cancer surgeon at New York Presbyterian Columbia University Medical Center. She's seen the study and says the reason for the rise is unclear.
We do see statistically from 2008 to 2012, the incidence of breast cancer is rising among Asian women at a rate about 1.5% per year. We hypothesize that the adoption of a Western lifestyle, such as lower parity, later age of first birth, the use of hormone replacement therapy, inactivity, increased meat and sweet diet, all these are contributing to the rise of breast cancer.
While more studies need to be done, many believe the report is a wake-up call to AAPI women to make a mammogram appointment and the importance of self-exams. Jeanette Moharris was diagnosed with an aggressive breast cancer in 2014. She felt a lump in her breast 10 months after her yearly mammogram. She remembers the doctor's call.
They were just very cold about it. They just wanted to let me know that it was positive and hold all your questions later and we'll answer them. But for that whole day, I was destroyed. I called my husband to pick me up from work and I came home. And the first thing that was on my mind is like, how am I going to tell my kids?
It's hard enough to hear that one has cancer, but the news can be made even worse when the doctors show no sensitivity. After consulting with 3 doctors, Mujeres finally found the right one.
And I went to see my final and third doctor, and she was just more empathetic.
Mujeres fortunately was able to be her own advocate, but many AAPI women, especially new immigrants, are afraid to question their doctors.
You often find that with monolingual people that they are not treated the same many times, especially in the medical profession. They're not told the whole story. They're not told all the ramifications that could happen.
These women, immigrants from Bangladesh, volunteer their time to be peer-to-peer educators with SAPNA, a South Asian women's outreach group.
Outreach is important for SAPNA because the new families who arrive here are not sure of what resources they have, where they can reach out to seek for help.
The women go out into the community, letting other Bangladesh women know about health education classes along with free mammogram screenings. Last year, 200 women came for the free screenings.
So when we are providing free mammogram screening here, women do get interested. They are bringing in more women to get screened.
Akhtar's video in Bangla also resonated with the community. With funding from Susan G. Komen, Oyang was able to produce several videos in different languages, because sometimes hearing it in one's native tongue can have a more lasting impact.
The majority of comments said that after seeing her video, they were going to make sure that they get their mammogram and that they were going to encourage other women to also get their mammogram. And that's what this is all about, is sharing information as well as psychosocial support. And so today was a very successful day.
I'm Ernabel Demillo for Asian American Life.
I'm Kyung Yoon. It's been 35 years since a young Chinese American named Vincent Chin was brutally murdered in Detroit. We'll have the story on how that incident sparked a nationwide Asian American movement.
There was one time all the Asian Americans were united, Filipino, Koreans, and Chinese, and native born, immigrants united for the case.
Christine Choi is the director of the film Who Killed Vincent Chin? The Academy Award-nominated documentary explores the implications of Chin's murder and its aftermath, and how and why his killers never spent a day in jail. On June 19, 1982, 27-year-old Vincent Chin was celebrating his bachelor party at the Fancy Pants Lounge. It was a time when Detroit's economy was in a free fall as demand for fuel-efficient Japanese cars was rising. Chin got into a fight with 2 white auto workers who mistook the Chinese American for Japanese and blamed him for the loss of their jobs.
Ronald Ebens and his stepson Michael Nitz got into an argument with Vincent and said it's because of little mother F's like you that we're out of work. And they got into a fight. They took out a Louisville Slugger baseball bat and beat Vincent in the head 4 times with the bat, cracking his skull open. And his final words were, "It isn't fair." 4 days later, after he was declared brain dead, 400 people attended a funeral instead of his wedding.
Tiwa Chang was an activist and journalist, first in Denver and later in Detroit, who supported Vincent Chin's mother, Lily Chin, in her crusade to bring her son's killers to justice.
For her, Vincent was the light and joy of her life. He was outgoing, gregarious. He was a fun kind of guy, and he made her whole life joyful. So when she lost him, I mean, think about it, she was planning to attend the wedding of her son, and it would be a whole new life where she would live with her son in the house, and she was hoping to have grandchildren, and then all of a sudden it's all gone.
What remained was a long and drawn-out battle through the American court system for Lily Chin and a community seeking justice for Vincent's murder. Even though the two men confessed to killing Chin, they were able to get a plea deal to a lesser charge of manslaughter with no jail time, only probation and a minimal fine.
The judgment was $3,000 to three-year probation.
So in the ensuing anger from the Asian American community, led by Helen Zia, a group called the American Citizens for Justice was formed, and they basically forced a federal prosecution for civil rights violations.
Ebens was found guilty, but then in a retrial based on a technicality, an all-white appeals court in Cincinnati overturned the conviction. The verdict outraged Asian Americans across the country and coalesced a pan-Asian campaign for equality and justice.
Although Vincent was Chinese American, all other Asian Americans, Japanese, Korean, Filipino, Cambodian, South, whatever, because they realized any one of them could have been there and would have been murdered as well, just because they looked Asian. Because they united, that helped make a difference.
Director Christine Choi spent 5 years following the aftermath of the murder and Lily Chin's quest for justice for her son. The documentary was nominated for an Academy Award in 1989.
I was very proud that the film was nominated. It satisfied me after 20-some years later. I realized this case is historically incredibly important. And I became more proud that I actually participated in this film when more and more Asians entering the legal studies. Okay. And I was also very happy to see all the Asian American studies in the program began. And there's the Asian Law Caucus, and they use the film as primary example, you know. That really satisfied me.
But while there is progress, America is still grappling with many of the same issues today of Detroit in 1982, declining blue-collar industries and the racial tensions, hate crimes, and scapegoating of immigrants and minorities that result from these struggles. Earlier this year, 32-year-old Srinivas Kuchibhotla was killed in Kansas by Adam Purinton, who allegedly shouted, "Get out of my country," before shooting.
Every time there's injustice against any other human being for the wrong reasons, because of racism, Islamophobia, for whatever it is, it's important for every American, all Americans, to support diversity and justice. And I think that's the lesson that needs to be learned, because things can go backward. It's only been about 30-something years, 30 to 40 years, that Asian Americans have gotten a modicum of acceptance. It can be reversed. And it's not just for Asian Americans, it's for all Americans. When they go after any other person in this country for unjust reasons, it's important for all of us to defend that person.
After 35 years, it's clear that the lessons of Vincent Chin are still relevant, and in this post-election climate, perhaps now more than ever. I'm Kyung Yoon for Asian American Life.
The feminist movement in the age of Trump has brought women together in the fight for equality. But many women of color, including Asian American women, are still fighting to make their voices heard. They want more than just a seat at the table. They want to lead the conversation.
Jana Lynn Umipig is a self-described multidisciplinary artist, expressing herself through music, performance, and her art, all a reflection of who she is, a Filipina feminist.
For me, I feel like feminism is focusing in on women's issues and understanding that they're human rights issues. So it's not about saying that women are predominant over men in any way, but rather it's humanizing the woman and understanding like what it is that we struggle with and the oppressions that we have to face that are particularly directed toward women, which unfortunately, because of patriarchy, is a lot.
Umipig is part of a new generation of Asian American feminists, young women who are fighting to make sure the Asian American female voice is being heard in the larger feminist movement.
3 million people around the globe, marching with us today.
The Women's March on Washington and sister marches around the world exceeded expectations, with millions of women and their supporters attending. But it was during the organizing of this event, started informally on social media, that brought out some of the friction within the feminist movement. Many women of color complained they were being sidelined, criticizing the movement for focusing on issues from a privileged white women's lens. The criticism led to the naming of 4 diverse women as official co-chairs, including African-American civil rights activist Tamika Mallory, Linda Sarsour, who heads the Arab Association of New York, Latina activist Carmen Perez, and fashion designer Bob Bland. But Umipig still felt her voice was lost in the sea of mostly white women she saw, prompting her to write this for the blog Hela Pinay.
I note the prevalence of white cis women at the march, the prevalence of the privileged, the considered, the already highly visible, and want us all to understand how when it is the privilege that is most visible and leading, that we hear about the issues from the privileged lens, which is, in this case, women's issues in general.
We together are powerful.
The Women's March was a really beautiful gathering. However, when I was there, I was looking around and I was understanding that there were not narratives on signs or in chants that were really talking about, that connects, like the intersectionality thing we're talking about, that connects the other issues that make women even more vulnerable.
The march put intersectional feminism in the spotlight. The term was first used in 1989 by college professor Kimberly Crenshaw to explain how feminism needed to be more diverse and inclusive.
Many years ago, I began to use the term intersectionality to deal with the fact that many of our social justice problems like racism and sexism are often overlapping, creating multiple levels of social injustice.
Women of color have long complained that the feminist movement historically was a middle-class white women's movement, one that pushes aside women of color. They argue that feminism is a fight for gender equality, but rarely equality and justice for women of color. They asked, where were the white feminists during the civil rights movement? Today they ask, where are the white feminists during Black Lives Matter marches? AAPI feminists, meanwhile, have historically been sidelined in both conversations about feminism and race.
I think the problem thus far has been that mainstream feminism has had a very hard time incorporating diverse definitions of what it means to be a woman in the current political landscape. And so I think we've seen in mainstream feminism this sort of tension around where women of color, for example, fit into the mainstream feminist movement.
Jennifer Fang is founder of the popular feminist blog Reappropriate. She is one of the leading Asian American feminist voices.
One of the main issues that Asian American women face is simply what it means to be at the intersection of identifying as a woman as well as identifying as Asian American. And so we might be dealing with, for example, the fight around immigrant rights a little bit differently than a white feminist.
In fact, white feminists, they argue, may not even be thinking about immigrant rights. AAPIs argue that feminism needs to embrace these intersections. Asian American feminists like Senti Sojwal and Julie Kim, volunteers with the New York chapter of the National Asian Pacific American Women's Forum, no longer want to be that quiet voice at the table. They want to make some noise.
I wanted to ask, what does Asian American feminism mean to you?
They recently helped organize a series of events in the city to address issues facing AAPI women. The series was an instant hit. This event, which included community organizers from several well-known AAPI advocacy groups, was standing room only. But why a separate AAPI event?
I think we get that question in terms of feminism a lot. Why do we need a separate Asian American feminism? And we also get that in terms of why are we just not part of a larger Asian American movement? And I think that's because Asian American women-identified folks have specific issues that aren't addressed in the larger movement, whether it is a larger feminist movement or the Asian American movement.
It's not just about equality, it's about justice and liberation. And what that means and what that looks like is women of color lead. Queer non-conforming people lead, young people lead, they're the front line.
One issue that usually isn't addressed centers around the undocumented. Sojwal works for Saki, a South Asian women's group.
The issues that we see facing our clients and a lot of other Asian immigrant women in New York center around things like immigration, domestic violence and sexual assault support, especially now when we have less people coming forward because they're undocumented.
Asian American feminism isn't a new movement. It began in the late 60s and early 70s with feminists who were part of the civil rights movement, including Grace Lee Boggs and Yuri Kuchiyama. There is also Helen Zia, who helped organize the AAPI community after Chinese American Vincent Chin was killed in a hate crime in 1982. Today's young AAPI feminists continue to fight the same fight, equal rights for all.
We can't be free if another person isn't free. Like, there's no such thing, right? How can we truly be liberated as a country if there are still some people suffering and there are still some people who are having a difficult time just getting through their daily lives? That's just not something that can happen.
I'm Ernabel Demillo for Asian American Life.
I'm Minnie Rowe. Since ancient time, chocolate has been referred to as food of the gods. It is undoubtedly one of the most beloved sweets of all time. Many people automatically assume that chocolate either comes from France or Belgium, but there is a growing number of Asian Americans who are making chocolate, infusing Asian flavors, elevating this ultimate comfort food to a whole new level.
Black sesame, Thai chili, mango green tea. These are not your typical chocolate flavors. But contrary to conventional thinking, chocolatiers like Keeling Tong say Asian flavors actually pair tremendously well with chocolates.
You think about the chili sesame, it has that savory, it has that sweetness and also spicy, so a great combination.
Among the 48 flavors she sells at her Manhattan shops, Key has about 10 Asian-inspired combinations: chili sesame, ginger, black rose, yuzu.
Mango green tea is a great combination just because the bitterness of the matcha, and then you have the white chocolate, it's a little sweet, which is the center, and then you have enrobed with dark chocolate with the mango, so great combination.
Infusing chocolates with teas and other exotic flavors is nothing new. Chocolatiers have been experimenting with various spices, chilies, and fruit for a very long time. Key gets her inspiration from her Chinese-American upbringing and the flavors that influenced her palate throughout her life.
I remember the flavors that my mom or my grandmother started making, even with savory. So I kind of incorporated with that, and that's the reason why there's a lot of Chinese influence, I guess.
Asians don't fit the mold of your average chocolatier, which has long since been dominated by males and Europeans. But Key joins a number of Asian Americans who are beginning to take a bite out of the $100 billion industry of chocolates. There's J Chocolates in San Francisco, whose chocolatier Mindy Fong churns out flavor combinations such as the ylang ylang flour, toasted brown rice, and cardamom. Chocolatine's, based in Illinois, is run by Reiko Wada, who pairs her chocolate with sancho, or Japanese peppercorns, and koji sake.
People now, again, understand that, it doesn't matter what your background is. If you could make it, you could do the flavors. If you could somehow succeed the flavors, then it doesn't matter who you are.
Even the cacao beans have an Asian connection. Cacao plants were first cultivated in Central America as far back as 1900 BC. Ancient civilizations roasted and ground the cacao beans into a paste that they mixed with water, vanilla, honey, and chili peppers to brew a frothy chocolate drink. In the 1500s, Spanish conquistadors seeking gold and silver in Mexico returned with chocolate instead, and its popularity as a magical elixir spread from Spain to France and other European nations. In an effort to quench the growing thirst for chocolate, European powers established colonial plantations in equatorial regions around the world. To this day, there are cacao plantations in India, the Philippines, and Indonesia, which still ranks as the third largest cacao bean producer in the world.
Does it have to be identical or not?
At $2.75 a piece, Keith's chocolate is not cheap. But when you witness the labor behind producing these delectable morsels, it explains the price. While a chocolate bar takes only about 30 minutes to make, truffles involve a multi-step process that can take several hours.
Yeah, dark chocolate truffle would be great.
And the unique flavor combinations brings by the curious, who quickly turn into converts after just one bite.
Mango green tea is not something you would normally find in another chocolate shop. Or, you know, what was the other one? Oh, the chili sesame. I mean, those are just odd. So I like the fact that, like, if I bought it for somebody, they get a little surprise. You know, it's not something normal.
I had people who came in who was very skeptical, who was like, oh, you know, so this is not from Europe or from France or from Belgium. I said, no, it's all handmade here. And they, what, $2.75 a piece? That's like a lot. If you try the chocolate, you'll know. So once they bite into it, then it's like, I understand.
And to quote a very famous movie line, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Ginger. I'm Minnie Rowe for Asian American Life.
That's our show for now. If you want more information on all our stories, you can follow us on Facebook at Asian American Life. I'm Ernabel Demillo. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.